Deep in the shadows of the forest where the light barely touches, lurk stories that chill the bones. Stories of those who ventured too far, who strayed from the path and were never seen again. Tonight, we delve into the heart of those woods to uncover 3 true tales of terror that will leave you questioning the darkness that surrounds us. Our first tale takes us to the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, a place where towering pines cast long, ominous shadows, and the air hangs heavy with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. It's a place of breathtaking beauty, but also one of unsettling isolation. Here, in the early autumn of 2004, a young hiker named Josh vanished without a trace. Josh, an experienced outdoorsman, was well prepared for his solo hike. He had mapped his route, packed sufficient supplies, and informed his family of his plans. He set off into the wilderness with a confident stride, eager to enjoy the solitude and tranquility of the ancient forest. Days turned into nights, and Josh didn't return. Concern turned to fear as his family alerted the authorities. Search parties combed the vast wilderness, their calls echoing through the silent trees, but Josh was nowhere to be found. Weeks later, the search was called off. Hope dwindled with each passing day. The official explanation pointed towards a tragic accident, perhaps a fall or an encounter with a wild animal. But for those who knew Josh, a nagging sense of unease lingered. He was too skilled, too prepared for such a simple explanation. Years later, a group of hunters stumbled upon a tattered backpack deep in the woods, miles off any marked trail. Inside, they found Josh's ID, confirming their grim discovery. But alongside his belongings, something else was found, something that defied logical explanation. A series of strange symbols had been carved into the bark of a nearby tree, symbols that seemed ancient, almost ritualistic in their design. Local authorities dismissed them as the work of pranksters, but others weren't so sure. Rumors began to circulate, whispers of ancient legends and forgotten rituals practiced in the deep woods. Could there be something more to Josh's disappearance than a simple accident? Was there a darkness lurking in those woods, something that preyed on unsuspecting souls? The symbols remained a chilling reminder that some mysteries are never truly solved and some corners of the world are best left undisturbed. Our next story takes us to the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, to a secluded campsite nestled beside a winding creek. Generations of campers had enjoyed the tranquility of this spot, sharing stories around crackling fires under a canopy of stars. But in the summer of 1997, a group of friends discovered that some places hold a darkness that whispers just beneath the surface. The friends, 4 college students eager for a weekend escape, arrived at the campsite filled with the carefree spirit of adventure. They pitched their tents, gathered firewood, and settled in for a night of laughter and shared stories. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees, a sense of unease began to settle over the group. The first sign was a faint whisper carried on the breeze. It seemed to come from the woods, just beyond the flickering light of their campfire. At first, they dismissed it as the rustling of leaves or the trick of the wind. But as the night deepened, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They strained to make out words, a language they couldn't understand. It seemed to swirl around them, a chorus of unseen voices emanating from the darkness. Fear began to creep into their laughter, their stories replaced by nervous glances into the impenetrable blackness that surrounded them. One of the friends, a young woman named Sarah, claimed she saw figures moving in the woods, shadowy forms that flitted between the trees. Her friends, though skeptical, couldn't shake the growing sense of dread that had taken hold. The whispers intensified, seeming to press in on them, a suffocating presence that chilled them to the bone. As the night wore on, the whispers transformed into chilling chants, rhythmic and haunting. The air grew heavy, charged with an unseen energy. Sarah, overcome with terror, began to sob uncontrollably, convinced that something sinister was closing in on them. Unable to endure the oppressive atmosphere any longer, they packed their belongings in a frantic rush and fled the campsite. They didn't stop driving until they reached the safety of the nearest town, the whispers still echoing in their minds. They never returned to that campsite, forever haunted by the unseen presence that whispered from the darkness. Our final tale takes us to the remote wilderness of the Alaskan backcountry, a land where nature reigns supreme and man is but a visitor. Here, beneath the towering peaks and amidst the sprawling glaciers, A seasoned hunter named Jake met his chilling end, a tale whispered among those who dared to venture into this unforgiving territory. Jake, a solitary man who found solace in the silence of the wild, had spent weeks in the backcountry tracking a prized elk. He was a skilled outdoorsman, intimately familiar with the challenges and dangers of the Alaskan wilderness. But this time, something was different. An unsettling feeling gnawed at him, a primal instinct warning of an unseen danger. One evening, as Jake made camp near a frozen lake, he noticed strange tracks in the snow. They weren't the tracks of any animal he recognized, too large and strangely shaped, as if something heavy had been dragged across the frozen ground. He tried to dismiss it, but the tracks lingered in his mind, a growing sense of unease settling over him. That night, as Jake lay in his tent, the temperature plummeted, the wind howled through the trees, and the silence of the wilderness was punctuated by the eerie cracking of ice on the nearby lake. Then he heard it, a low growl, deep and guttural, emanating from the darkness just beyond the reach of his campfire. Fear, cold and sharp, surged through him. He grabbed his rifle, his heart pounding in his chest. The growl grew louder, closer, circling his campsite. He strained to see through the darkness, but the blizzard conditions made it impossible to discern anything beyond the flickering light of his fire. Suddenly, a monstrous shape emerged from the swirling snow, a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It was massive, towering over him, its eyes glowing an unnatural yellow in the darkness. Terror gripped him, paralyzing him with fear. He raised his rifle, his finger trembling on the trigger. But before he could fire, the creature lunged, its claws tearing through his tent with ease. The last thing Jake saw were those glowing eyes filled with a primal hunger before the darkness consumed him. Weeks later, a search party found Jake's campsite, his tent shredded and his belongings scattered. His body was never recovered, lost to the unforgiving Alaskan wilderness. The tracks in the snow, leading away from the campsite, told a chilling tale, a tale of a predator unlike any known to man, a creature of the shadows that haunted the deepest corners of the wild. The woods hold secrets. Some are never meant to be found. The whispers in the darkness, the shadows that dance at the edge of our vision, remind us that there are mysteries in this world that defy explanation. As you turn off this video, and the familiar comforts of your home surround you, remember the stories we've shared tonight. The woods hold secrets. Some are never meant to be found. Sleep tight.